tonight. Whole bunch of 7 o'clock and 7:30 games and a couple of interesting late games as well. Now, Saturday night, of course, is the traditional night for hockey in Canada. The week revolves around it for many. Work week is done for most. It's kind of a day to refocus on home and family and the custom that begins for so many at a young age. You sit down, you watch hockey on a Saturday night. You get to stay up late quite often. It's hockey and hockey night in Canada. It's part of the cultural fabric. It will be a sad start this week because of the passing a couple of days ago of a prominent Canadian who was also a very big hockey fan. Passing away peacefully earlier this week was Gord Downie, the front man for the Canadian rock band The Tragically Hip. It began a period of mourning for the entire country, and it will culminate this evening with Hockey Night in Canada. There will be a tribute to the talented musician and to the humanitarian. There was a documentary that aired on Canadian television about the Tragically Hip and their final tour last night that I imagine is just going to have scored incredible ratings. American listeners are not likely to understand the significance of Gord Downie's death to Canada and Canadians. To try and explain it a little, Downie and the Hip, they were hugely successful in the Canadian music scene for 3 decades. Hugely successful. Sold out, big venue shows, countless hits, millions of albums sold. They weren't giant international stars. They touched emotions that many felt. They were a little bit of everyone, I would say. I'm in the minority because I'm not a giant Tragically Hip fan. I never was, but I understand the cultural significance. They were the soundtrack to so many people's lives. The song lyrics were poetry. They could touch your emotions, which is kind of what we'd all could use sometimes. The passing of Gord Downie is even more significant because it became known a couple of years ago that he was battling terminal brain cancer. He and the band put together, somehow mustered the strength to put together one more tour, a final farewell. I cannot imagine the internal strength that it must have taken for Downie to walk out on stage at each concert. As part of and after this goodbye tour, Downie also continued his work highlighting the plight of Indigenous people in Canada, a terrific humanitarian effort. We all knew that the day was coming, but it still hit you like a bus when you got the news a couple of days ago. So many Canadians, and Gord being such a hockey fan, it touched them. So many players, team personnel are Canadian. Throughout the National Hockey League, it touched them. When the Prime Minister of Canada addresses the nation with a tear in his eye and says the country is poorer without Gord Downie, that gives you a kind of a bit of the magnitude of the impact. He was every man. He was, as I said, I'm not a big fan, but he was every man. The soundtrack of the Hip music was the part of so many people's lives. The other special part for Canadians, the Hip were enormous stars, but they weren't worldwide stars. That's why those in Canada hold them so close. It's hard to give context to those outside of Canada. This is the best I can come up with, but imagine the magnitude, the size of a Bruce Springsteen. He's elite and talented. He's also a bit of an everyman, but imagine he's only a star in the United States, and you hold him dearly and that close. It's the best I can come up with right now. So Saturday night game in Toronto, we'll have Toronto and Ottawa. The band and Gord from Kingston, kind of in between both cities. It's somehow fitting that that's the matchup, and there'll be a fantastic tribute tonight to Gord Downie, and we feel the loss. As always, we'll do our best to persevere. We'll provide comfort. We'll provide a distraction to the sadness with hopefully what is the greatness of the game. And we saw a whole lot of it on display over the last few days. We've been treated to some really beautiful artistic efforts by talented performers this past week in the National Hockey League. Some fantastic game action. Last night alone, there were some marvelous things to watch. I like to watch as much as I can of every game that's on every night, and I watch highlights the next day. So I watch as much stuff as I can. And one of the things I was captivated with last night was the game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Florida Panthers. I mentioned that the Pens came up with a victory. And in watching the Pittsburgh power play work last night, I mean, this was a thing of beauty. It was just unbelievable to watch the skill and talent on display. On the ice last night, during one of the power plays, and they scored 3 power play goals, including the game winner from Connor Shearer in the power play. But at one point in the second period, on the ice for the Pittsburgh Penguins power play, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Phil Kessel, Chris Letang, Patrick Hornqvist. That's an astounding amount of talent. That is absolutely unbelievable to have that out on the ice at one point. And the Panthers, give them full marks for doing all they could do. They were trying to remain structured, keeping the play to the outside. I mean, you're up against it when you're going up against 5 guys like that. But the Panthers were doing their best on the penalty kill. The passing, though, was surgical precision as you watched it from the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was really, really marvelous. It was just a beautiful thing to watch. Sidney Crosby eventually scored on this one particular power play in the second period. The passing went back and forth, and Malkin fed it over to Crosby, and it was in then. And there was nothing you could do. That's elevated skill level, and that's what we want to see more of. It was a beautiful thing to watch. San Jose Sharks began their lengthy road trip last night. This was the kind of Sharks team that you expect to see. Friday night, 3-0 shutout. It was a worker-like effort. Martin Jones was great, made some sensational saves. Devils were good. They had some chances, but San Jose was on their game. We want to get this off to a good start. That's what we expected from the San Jose Sharks, and that's what we got. This is the kind of Sharks game that I was expecting to see right from the start of the season. It was a little shaky at times, but this is what we saw in the game on Friday night with the San Jose Sharks against the New Jersey Devils. Beautiful goals, beautiful plays all over the ice. When you're watching the games, just to see that happen and take place, it was fantastic. There were great plays this past week. One of them on Friday night, as a matter of fact, it was a bit of a spin pass from Ryan O'Reilly. He was in the corner, spun the pass back to a player out in front of the net. Boom, winds up in the net. Oh, yeah. It was pretty spectacular. Ryan O'Reilly fed it to Justin Bailey. It resembled, I don't know if enough people drew the comparison, but it did resemble the even more sensational play that Connor McDavid did to spin around in front of the Chicago Blackhawks net the night before on Thursday and put it on the stick of Patrick Maroon, who put it in the back of the net. We're getting to see these plays because of the crackdown on slashing. There are people still griping about it. Oh, not paying enough of a price. Not paying enough of a price. Ask any NHL player if the game is physical enough. I'm sure you get a resounding yes. This not paying enough of a price, no. That's dragging the skill down to a lower level. Let's elevate the skill for all players. Give them greater opportunities. Filling the pool up is better than trying to drain it down to bring them to your level. Beautiful goals, beautiful plays all over the ice. It was wonderful to watch. Great games last night. Vancouver won that game against the Buffalo Sabres. A nice victory on the road for them. Mentioned the Pens had the victory on the road against the Florida Panthers. I'm watching the Sharks game last night too, but this was a weird and funny one that struck me. So I'm watching the Sharks game. I'm listening to Randy Hahn do the play-by-play. Does a great job. I like listening to Hahn on TV, and I like listening to Dan Ruzanowski on the Sharks radio. And playing last night for the Sharks is defenseman Tim Heed, H-E-E-D. He got into one game last year. This was the 4th this year. Did a nice job, and Randy Hall is calling out the names in the enthusiastic call that Randy Hahn does, and he's shouting, Heed, Heed, Heed. Heed makes the play. Heed makes the pass. And all I can think of as I'm watching and listening and hearing Randy call out Tim Heed is the 90s movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer. Remember it? Mike Myers movie? Living in San Francisco, a bit of a beat poet. Oh, yeah, it's terrific. He has a Scottish father with a real thick accent, and he's saying head, but with the Scottish accent, it comes out as heed. Look at the size of that boy's heed. Heed. Pants. It's stupid and silly, but that's all I could think of last night as I'm watching. It was really funny, but it was a nice game for a nice win on the to start the road trip for the San Jose Sharks. If you don't know watch the movie. It's a very funny movie. So I Married an Axe Murderer stars Mike Myers and a bunch of other people as well. We'll get into a whole bunch of other stories, probably not all of them as silly. at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to reach us. We'll talk to Craig Button later on this hour, kind of whip around the NHL and get his early season thoughts on a few teams. Kristen Odland coming in the next segment, talking Calgary Flames. Flames play tonight. They're hosting Minnesota. Minnesota played last night in Winnipeg against the Jets. Jets coming out on top. How will Calgary do tonight? What line is Jaromir Jagr going to play on? We'll see. Remember, we're ready for it. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tweet them, send them on Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We'll pick a winner. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered. Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. This is the Saturday edition. We are here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. You can also check us out on Facebook Live. We're on Periscope. We're on YouTube Live, and more distribution outlets coming, more info in the days ahead. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at Hockey Unfiltered. At Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Saturdays, of course, mean HU Dog of the Day, the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tweet us your photos, put them up on Instagram, tag us, put the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We just like dog photos. We like cute dog photos. We do it every Saturday. It's kind of a fun thing that we started a few years ago. Some people gave us crap for it, but we kept doing it because people liked it and everyone liked it. There was a fun story this past week about a dog, as a matter of fact. You know, so there's a lot of great service dogs that do incredible work in a variety of fields, and they have to go through extensive training before, obviously, they're put into the roles that they're being trained for and work on a full-time basis. So there was a story this past week about a dog that was going through the process of learning how to be a bomb-sniffing dog as part of the CIA, which is no small task. It's a lot of training and teaching and learning, and it's quite a process. So she's going through the training process, and her name is Lulu. She decided at this point, as she's going through all this, maybe this just isn't for me. Now, I don't think Lulu really expressed that in so many words, but she showed zero interest in going through the training, couldn't be motivated, even when they offered her treats, tried to coax her along with rewards, wasn't happening. She decided, you know what, this really isn't for me, and just would not participate in the training and the process of becoming a bomb sniffing dog for the CIA. So Lulu was given early retirement. Now, the best part of this story is she was adopted by her training officer. A nice happy ending to the story. She's become a wonderful part of the family. So we're happy about that. Coming up before the hour is out, Craig Button will join us, analyst in the National Hockey League for TSN, also their director of scouting. Arthur Staple will join us as well, talking New York Islanders from Newsday, and also Jason Mackey of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette covering the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pens will continue their road trip through Florida tonight as they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Having difficulty reaching Kristen Odlin of the Post Media Group, who covers the Calgary Flames. I don't know which line Jaromir Jagr is going to play on tonight. I guess we'll have to wait and see. He was getting time up further in the lineup in the top 6 a couple of nights ago. Many thought that was a positive thing. Got to have Jagr moving up in the lineup. Okay. Didn't win the game the other night, but that's okay. Didn't win the game the other night against Carolina, but that's okay. Jaromir Jagr, he was more active. He was more engaged. Give him a better role. I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical. In fact, I'm a lot skeptical. I don't think it's a good idea. I wouldn't have signed him in the first place. But there are those that are still riding the wave of Jagr emotion. Oh, it's great. Get him in there. He can teach so much. Can't skate, can't keep up. There was one point in the game against Carolina a couple of nights ago I was watching. So, oh, look at him show the speed there. Sure, when he's going toward the net, he'll give you all the giddy up that he's got. But it doesn't last very long. And there's a lot of straight legging it coming back into the Calgary Flames end zone. Here's the other thing that we're going to notice, I believe, as the season moves along, if Jagr continues in this fashion with the Calgary Flames. They're trying to find a place to put him now. And this is the same issue that other teams have had in the past. It's like, okay, so he's an offensive player. We got to find a place to put him. He can't play in the bottom 6. So now you got to get him up into the top of the lineup, but you're going to have to adjust the style of play then, because he can't keep up. The other issue that's going to pop up as the season moves along, I believe, is playing in the Western Conference. Because the travel in the West is way more difficult than it is in the East. And I think that is going to become an issue as the season moves along. Playing in Florida, not that big a deal. Playing in the Northeast, even less of a deal. But when you're playing out west in Calgary, and you're playing at stretches 3 games in 4 nights, you've got travel, and Western travel is a lot bigger and tougher than it is in the East. Ask Taylor Hall about that. What was the biggest thing that Taylor Hall noticed moving from Edmonton to New Jersey? Oh, the travel is a piece of cake. There is nothing to it. That's going to be a difference. That's going to be taxing. That's going to be harder on him. I think that's something that we're going to have to watch for. I don't know. Calgary, I think, is okay. They seem to be starting to find themselves a little bit. I think this Jagr experiment, I'm not sure how it's going to play out and how it ends, but I don't think it's the positive in the long run. But we'll wait and see. That's just one of the games tonight. It's Minnesota at Calgary. There's a lot of good games on Saturday. I mentioned Toronto and Ottawa. Drinking game in this one, by the way. If you're watching Toronto and Ottawa or listening to Toronto and Ottawa, you will hear the phrase Battle of Ontario repeatedly. When you hear it, I think we better make this take a drink. I don't think if you take a shot every time you hear Battle of Ontario, you'll be knackered before the pregame show is over. St. Louis and Vegas. Late game tonight, a 10:30 Eastern start, 7:30 local. I'm interested in this game. Two of the best records in the Western Conference. Blues have got 6 wins. Vegas has 5. How long can it last for both of these teams? That I'm curious to see. That I'm really curious to see. 2 good teams. Vegas is riding the wave right now. The big question with Vegas is going to be how long can Malcolm Subban hold up and fill in for Marc-Andre Fleury? That'll be the big one. Because Marc-Andre Fleury going down was a big blow to the Vegas Golden Knights. Tampa, Pittsburgh. These 2 teams played a game a week and a half ago that was a joy to watch. It ended 5-4, Tampa coming up with a victory. It was a beautiful game. It was fantastic. It was wide open. It was up and down the ice. It was elevated skill, finesse. Oh, yes, and there was hitting, too, for those that immediately say, oh, well, yeah, but there couldn't have been any body contact. 40 hits. 40 hits in the game. I hope that the game on Saturday night is as good. Because the one a week and a half ago between these 2 teams was fantastic. Probably the best game I've watched this year. Probably the best game I've watched this year. Between these 2 teams, it was sensational. And we've seen some teams that have started slow and started to pick up. We saw teams that started hot and have maybe cooled off a little bit. We're 2.5 weeks into the season. Yeah, we can still say it's early, but we're getting to the point where you have to start to look at what your team has given you in the first 6, 7, 8 games in some cases. There's still a bit of a disparity between some teams playing 5 or 6 games and some teams playing 8. But in the next day or so, everybody, in fact, why don't we do this tomorrow? In the next day or so, everybody's got to kind of look at where they are, what they've seen as early indications, what they've seen as strong starts from players and their team, and what they've seen as weaker points that they may need to work on, whether it's goaltending, whether it's defense, whether it's scoring. But everybody is going through a process of evaluation now, I would believe, that we've seen a little bit of a sample. We've seen the team play on the road. We've seen them play at home. This is kind of an early evaluation, an early, just kind of where are we? So maybe we'll do this. We'll do this for all the teams tomorrow. We'll kind of give you a look at who's exceeded expectations, who's meeting expectations, and which teams are falling below expectations. Sure, you can still say it's early, but we're at a point now where you have to look at teams and you have to say, yeah, maybe we weren't quite as good as we thought, or maybe we're a little bit better than we thought. Still early. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we got off to a better than we expected start. Maybe our schedule was a little bit tough. Weren't sure we'd be able to get as many victories, but we've managed to get a few. Maybe we can keep riding and building that momentum. Yeah, that's the kind of thing we're looking for. So we'll do that tomorrow. Who's exceeded? Who's meeting expectations? Who's falling below expectations? Because teams are doing it. Everybody's looking at, wow, what a great start that New Jersey got off to. What a great start that Vegas has gotten off to. St. Louis has surprised teams and surprised people. 6 victories for St. Louis, 5 victories for Vegas. How about a surprise in the negative sense? Well, Montreal, no bigger surprise than Montreal. Man, oh man, and it got worse last night. On Friday night, it was bad. It was very funny, actually, if you were watching on social media and following Eric Engels, who tweeted out just the hashtag #FireTerrien. I mean, that was how far the game had gotten away from Montreal at one point last night. It's not good. It's not good at all. In fact, it's really bad. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a bunch of other stories around the National Hockey League as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Coming up in our next segment, Craig Button from TSN scheduled to join us. Also later on in the program, Arthur Staple from Newsday talking New York Islanders. Isles with a game against the San Jose Sharks Saturday evening. Also, Jason Mackey covers the Pittsburgh Penguins for the Post-Gazette. Pittsburgh in Tampa take on the Lightning. a nice win in Florida last night with a late power play goal from Connor Sheary. And I'm hoping that Pittsburgh and Tampa have as good a game as they did a week and a half ago. Again, it was a great game to watch. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, we'll talk with Craig Button right after the break. There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag #HUDogoftheDay. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. Here every Saturday, here every Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live, powered by Primetime Radio. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is my email. Arthur Staple from Newsday talking Islanders before the program is done. Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins. And happy to welcome back to the program his first visit of the year. I know he'll be with us many times, and we always enjoy the conversation. NHL analyst and the director of scouting for TSN. Follow him on Twitter at Craig J. Button, and he joins us now. Craig, always good to talk to you. When can we officially stop saying it's early in the NHL? Has that time passed, do you think?
Well, you know, we're teams are starting to close in on the double-digit mark in games played. So, you know, you've had some exhibition games, and teams are trying to form their style of play and get comfortable with one another. And now, and I would say that if you're still saying, oh, it's still early, the parity in the league is so close that, you know, you watch teams now that game one matters, and it really does. And you see the end of the season where the playoff races are tight and teams are slipping in by a point or missing by a point. So if you have a poor start to the season, you're going to have a real uphill battle. So I think that the talk after 2 games, it's early. After 3 or 4 games, okay, you're starting to move into the 8, 9, 10 mark. It's not early anymore.
That seems to go right along with your thinking that your job as a manager, as a coach, and and working with an NHL team is you're in a constant state of evaluation. Even though it's early, teams are evaluating their players, thinking this is what I expected, or this isn't what I expected. This is more than what I expected from some players. It's a constant process. And even though it is early, as you mentioned, there are important choices and decisions that are going to be made by teams in this early time.
Well, they are, and I mean, and they're in different areas, and I think every team would like to be able to say, "Geez, this is better than we expected." I think that the teams that are in the mode of, "Oh boy, how did we get ourselves into this spot?" find themselves in a real what I would call the opportunity to improve your team isn't there. I mean, the significant improvements in a team are made in the summertime. There's not a lot of cap space. You got to find the perfect partner and what you may need. Another team may not be able to provide it to you. So when you look just in recent years, the big deals have happened in the off season, and I don't see that changing. So when you see a team struggling, there's just no opportunity to improve your team. In my view, you can make small tweaks. So the bulk of the work is done in the summertime. And leading in, you get to the trade deadline in March, you work to make the playoffs, win the cup, and if you don't make it, or you fall short, that's when you start to really evaluate your team. And everything you've done is to improve upon the things you didn't like. And so a poor start now it's like a double whammy. It's like, oh boy, we weren't good enough then, we're not good enough now, and now how do we improve it? So I think for a few teams in the league, and the Montreal Canadiens come to mind, it is not too early. In fact, times are serious.
Well, since you brought the Canadiens up, let's talk about what is and isn't going on in Montreal. I think it's a mess, and I haven't liked a lot of the moves that they've made and choices and decisions. And it's gotten really ugly really quickly for Montreal.
It did, and Todd, I just did the 3 broadcasts for the Canadiens on TSN out of here in California, and what I would say is they played 3 really, really good periods. 2 in LA, 1 on Friday night versus Anaheim, where they set a franchise record for most shots in a period, 30 against Anaheim, and probably I would say a decent period in San Jose. Well, in this league, 4 periods out of 9 isn't going to win you very many hockey games. And, Montreal fell behind 3-0. They did a great second period, but you can't play 26 minutes in this league and expect to win. So you're looking, I mean, if there's anything, and this is the positive, but also I think the serious challenges that confront the Montreal Canadiens, there's a lot of excitement about the young 19-year-old defenseman, Victor Mete. Good skater, competitive. He's playing on the top pair with Shea Weber. He can go back to junior. And, so I think that it's nice Victor Mete's made that step, but I think it's reflective of where the Montreal Canadiens find themselves. They're not real quick on the blue line. They're not real big up front. They don't have natural scoring. I've said this a number of times. I think they have square pegs and round holes. Jonathan Drouin's going to try to play center. I don't think you maximize Jonathan Drouin's center ice.
I agree with you. And
everybody's trying to learn. I was talking to Kirk Muller. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No. I was going to say that's a steep learning curve for Jonathan Drouin to come in for a player who's not played center in the National Hockey League. Okay, we need a number 1 center, and we hope you can do it. It's almost like they're repeating the process with Alex Galchenyuk.
Well, and here's Alex Galchenyuk, and I mean, that's 2 coaches that feel he can't play center. So, I mean, if that's what the belief is, well, then you got to try to maximize him on the wing. But, I mean, you're looking at a player in Drouin who's very gifted and very talented, but he hasn't played center. And when I hear people say, oh, he played center in junior, he played a little bit in junior. But the reason guys end up on the wing in the NHL, for the most part, is because they're not centermen. And even the ex-centers or the guys that were centers in junior or college or whatever. So when you can't play center in the league, it's usually because you can't. And now Max Pacioretty's having a little bit of struggle scoring. Well, he's got a brand new centerman to play with. And I was just going to say, Kirk Muller, the associate coach for the Montreal, you're trying to find chemistry, and he says we have complete new lines and defense pairs. Well, guess what? You also have, again, that square pegs and round holes that you're trying to force. You're not just trying to find chemistry, you're trying to find imperfect fits. And Doug Jarvis, longtime NHLer, longtime NHL coach, and he said it tongue-in-cheek in typical Doug Jarvis fashion, he said, a square peg in a round hole is still a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, I'm chuckling, but that's the sad part for the Montreal Canadiens and their fans, and that's the frustration that they're feeling. The other question about Montreal too is watching him, and you've seen him firsthand. Carey Price does not look like Carey Price in goal. I don't know if that's strictly because of what's going on in front of him, but he doesn't look very comfortable when he's playing goal for Montreal at this point of the season.
Well, I usually don't see Carey Price lose his composure, and losing his composure is the wrong way. But last night when the Anaheim Ducks scored their sixth goal, he took his stick and he let every one of his teammates and everybody that's a Montreal Canadiens fan know he was none too happy. And you don't see that. It starts with, to me, Montreal hasn't been, competitive enough. The effort hasn't been there on a consistent basis. And, coaches don't draw up effort, and Montreal, like after the first period, to say they were awful would have been a compliment in terms of effort. Then they come out in the second period and they're just dominant, and you got to sit there and go, well, where was that in the first period? And I think that, it's 3-2. They have a good 6 minutes in the third period. Break for the Anaheim Ducks happens. Montour scores. And you sit there and go, okay, well, let's see how they're going to respond to this little bit of adversity. Well, Anaheim scored 2 goals, I think, in about 40 seconds. And I think that's what set off Carey Price. It's like, okay, we had a bad break against it. This is how we're going to respond. And I think that, for Marc Bergevin, Claude Julien, there's a lot of questions that they are asking. And I don't know where the answers are. And that includes internally, externally, and, at 1-6-1, it doesn't get any easier for them.
Craig Button is with us, NHL analyst for TSN, director of scouting for TSN. At Craig J. Button is how you follow him on Twitter. Since you've been out west and you've seen the West Coast teams, I want to ask you about the Los Angeles Kings too, who are off to a terrific start this season. They did lose Jeff Carter though because of that injury sustained when his leg was cut with Jeff Petrie's skate, and he's going to be out indefinitely. But what did you see from Los Angeles that is making them so successful early on in the season?
Well, John Stevens wants them to play faster, and that means, getting up into the play. I mean, Daryl Sutter did a great job with the LA Kings, and they controlled the play and they possessed the puck. But teams now got into a mode, seeing where they didn't have a lot of great scoring, that we'll just defend against them. They can keep the puck, and even though in the possession metrics, you look at LA and go, well, they were good. And the analogy I've used, Todd, is they're like the football team that always gets in the red zone and settles for field goals. It just you're not going to be able to do it and win. So John Stevens has them playing more of an up-tempo, quicker game, defense into the attack, and more through the middle of the ice. It's not so much about getting into the zone, making sure we keep the other team to the outside, and we're going to hold the puck and break. Because the teams learned against LA Kings was, keep the puck over there on the boards in our zone. We don't care. You can have it all night long. You got to come to the net, and you're going to have to try to break us down inside to be able to have success and get scoring chances. And they weren't. John Stevens has made a fundamental change in how they attack. He wants to attack more off the rush. He wants to be quicker in transition, and I think it's been reflective in their start.
They've been very good. It's going to be interesting to see how they do for the next little while without Jeff Carter, but they have been one of the pleasant surprises of the season. And so have a lot of young players coming into the league. It seems as though we're talking about this in the early weeks of the season every year. Rookies, second-year players having significant impact with their teams moving forward. You follow players through junior and up through the draft in your work with TSN. Are you surprised that we're seeing players step in and take such great roles and have such early success in their careers?
Not at all, Todd. And I attribute it to three things. Number one, the players, they compete against one another from young ages, and whether that be 13, 14, 15, 16. So they're competing against the best players in their age group from a very young age. There's not this unknown. You take it one step further. There's also this ability to understand what the NHL is. They watch it. There's so many games on. I mean, all the games are on. So now they can really watch and get a feel for what the NHL is. And third is they get such good coaching, just in terms of hockey, but they understand strength training and nutrition and at such a young age. So now you're not learning those things at 18 or 19. It used to be, well, they got to learn how to be a pro. Oh, they got to learn what it means to be an NHL player. They're coming in ready to play with an understanding of what it takes to play. And when you put all those factors together, I think that when you have talent, and these young players all have talent, if they come into the league ready to, and I'll show you I can play, and tell you what, most of them are not disappointing in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's been a pleasure to watch them come in and succeed and just to play at such a high level right from the start. Craig Button from TSN, at Craig J. Button is how you follow him on Twitter. Great stuff as always, Craig. I love the conversations, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Oh, we'll do it again, Todd, and I enjoy them as well. So you have a great day.
Appreciate it. Safe travel. Craig Button from TSN with a lot of good info as always. I didn't know that he was out west doing those games for Montreal. I think that there is a team that is certainly not meeting expectations. I think there are significant flaws with the Montreal Canadiens. I cannot believe what I have seen so far this season from Montreal to accumulate a 1-6-1 record. And quite frankly, to be fortunate to have that record in that they do have one victory. They were fortunate to get that one victory. We'll talk more about the Montreal Canadiens. We'll talk more about the games on the horizon. A busy Saturday, a couple of afternoon games on Saturday, and then 10 more in the evening. Just a single Sunday game. And a whole bunch of other stories as well from this past week. Some great, fantastic, wonderful, exciting, and brilliant play in the National Hockey League. We'll touch on that. Also, a few other more serious and questionable issues, if you will. For suspension of the regular season was doled out the other day to Eric Gudbranson of the Vancouver Canucks. Pretty weak, I think. Much more on that and other items to come. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us your Dog of the Day photos. We will choose a winner before the end of the program. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code GETTHESAVINGS. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with SeatGiant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, live on Facebook, live on Periscope, live on YouTube. And if you happen to miss any of the programs, don't forget, subscribe to our podcast through iTunes, through iHeartRadio, available as well. Oh, what a busy program. Lots going on in the National Hockey League. Great conversation in the last segment with Craig Button. If you missed it, you want to make sure that you check out the podcast. Coming in the next hour, Arthur Staple from Newsday will join us. We will talk about the New York Islanders, their game tonight against the San Jose Sharks, and also coming up, Jason Mackey, who covers the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are continuing their way through Florida, stopped in Sunrise, beat the Panthers last night. They will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday night. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Thank you for your Dog of the Day submissions so far. Keep them coming. Another hour to go. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Send them to us on Twitter, on Instagram. We select a winner every Saturday. Lots of great action coming up today. As mentioned, 12 games. 10 tonight, a couple of afternoon contests. We saw some good things last night. We also saw some bad things on Friday. And one of the things that we saw was another game where the Montreal Canadiens came out on the losing end. Talked to Craig Button a bit about this, and this is something that is spiraling out of control. This situation continues to deteriorate. I think they're lucky to have one win. They managed to squeak out a victory against the Buffalo Sabres. That was in the shootout. They got that one win. Haven't won since. They got dumped in their first two California games. They looked awful in the first period on Friday night where they allowed 3 goals. Could have been more. And I don't know. They woke up in the second period, as Craig said. They came out buzzing. They scored a couple of goals. Anaheim came back, popped 3 more before the period was 8 minutes old. And that was it. 6-2 was the final. Carey Price freaked out, smashed a stick. A quick aside to this game. Anaheim hosting Montreal Friday night. I think there should perhaps be a bit of an inquiry or investigation as to whoever's counting shots in Anaheim. Yes, I watched the game, and I watched the Ducks dominate the first period. And I watched Montreal come out and have the big surge in the second period. But I'm not buying the count of 21 shots by the Anaheim Ducks in the first period and 30 by Montreal in the second period. That's a franchise record. I think the button was stuck on the scoreboard. That seems a bit high. Regardless, Montreal is in a world of hurt. In spite of all that has gone on, and perhaps maybe because of what has gone on, I think Montreal wins their next game. They don't play again until Tuesday. They host Florida Panthers. They start a 3-game homestand. I think they're winning Tuesday. Things have gotten just bad enough that I think it is inevitable that they win because the heat's going to be turned up so high. Won't solve the problem or the institutional, structural problems that are within this team, not just the players, but the whole organization. This is a flawed roster. They do not have enough good players to succeed. They have players in the wrong roles. They have a bad mixture and a bad combination that was put together by General Manager Marc Bergevin. And it is a mess right now. I believe Marc Bergevin does not see the league as it is and the way it is evolving. It's about skill, it's about talent, it's about speed, it's about creativity. And he's got a bunch of role players. And most of them don't have enough of those attributes for this team to be successful. We saw the typical old methods. I don't even want to say old school, old methods on display. Montreal gets down, and Andrew Shaw starts running around like a jackass. He's behaving like an idiot under the guise of, well, I'm gonna hit somebody or start a fight and jumpstart the team. Doesn't work anymore. Not that way. Once they got down by 4 goals in the third period again, Kevin Bieksa, who's mostly of the same mentality as Andrew Shaw, decides he's going to give him some of his own medicine and start pummeling away on him. What does Shaw do? Covers up and hides. Until the officials jump in and kind of try to corral everybody, and then Shaw miraculously jumps up from the ice and jumps into the pile. I'm not condoning what Bieksa did in any way, shape, or form. The vigilante justice thing is stupid as far as I'm concerned. But that's just another example of Andrew Shaw behaving like an idiot. And, oh, yeah, Marc Bergevin gave him a 6-year contract when he acquired him via trade. He's trying to build a team. Marc Bergevin is trying to build a team that worked perhaps when he played. It doesn't now. I said this when PK Subban was traded for Shea Weber. This was the start of the end. It is playing out before our eyes. How long ago was that? Just over a year. Seems like much longer. That was a big mistake. I don't care that Marc Bergevin has a long-term contract. I think there is no chance he sees the end of it as the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens. He has had the support of ownership, but that can't continue. That is going to continue to drift. It is easy to see the problems with this team for everybody except Marc Bergevin. He does not have a long-term strategy. Said he did when he showed up in Montreal, said, yes, I want to build this team and move forward over the next few years to be competitive and to challenge and go deep in the playoffs. He's not even close. He's not even close. In fact, I would say he's further behind than when he started. It's like he's playing whack-a-mole, trying to fix one problem by putting a Band-Aid on it. Doesn't work. So no, I don't think this plays out well. It will take time, probably the season. Yeah, I do believe Montreal will bounce back and win their next game. And that will turn the heat down a smidge. And they will win a few more games as the season goes along. And it will probably come down to a simmer at different points. Maybe they'll even win a few games, because it often happens when teams lose a bunch of games, they will win a few games in a row, and vice versa. You see it all the time in the NHL. But their shortcomings will still be present. They will show again, and we'll go through this dance probably a couple of times as the 2017-18 season goes along for the Montreal Canadiens. But it is a mess in Montreal. You do not have enough talented players, enough players in the right roles. It's as if it's as if their mentality is, well, we got Carey Price and he's going to keep us in every game. Well, hasn't been able to. Partly because I don't think he's playing particularly well. I don't think he's particularly comfortable. And maybe he is feeling a bit of the mental burden of signing that big contract, because that's inevitable for almost any player. Get a big deal, you feel a bit more weight on your shoulders. But the rest of that team, they're a mess. Oh, but they got salary cap space. Oh, they should trade Galchenyuk. For what? What are you going to get for Alex Galchenyuk now? You've screwed with him for 5 years. He plays center, he plays wing, he plays left wing, he plays right wing. We don't know. It's up and down the lineup. He's been hurt. He was a question mark before he was drafted. But they went ahead. It didn't work. They are taking steps back, not forward in Montreal. It's not going to end well. Oh, sure, it's only 8 games. but it's 1 victory in 8 games. And as we go through the season, I'm not sure how much that ratio is going to change. It's bad. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports on Twitter and on Instagram. A busy second hour coming up with lots more to get to, more talk on Saturday's games, a good lineup of games on the schedule, and lots of other stories as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis back after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Hour number 2 of the program set to go. Oh yeah, it's busy. Lots to get into. Busy Saturday. 12 games on the schedule. A couple of afternoon contests. 10 more this evening. New York Islanders hosting the San Jose Sharks. Arthur Staple from Newsday will join us and talk about the Islanders. The lineup shuffling for the New York Islanders in their game to expected against the San Jose Sharks. We'll get the latest on that. Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette will be with us. We'll talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins. A nice victory in Sunrise against the Florida Panthers on Friday night for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 3 power play goals helping to lead the way. Pittsburgh Penguins will tangle with the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday. I'm excited for this game. I'm hopeful for this game, because it was so good when these two teams played about a week and a half ago. Probably the best game that I have seen this season. It is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis every Saturday and Sunday beginning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. Don't forget our Twitter and Instagram handles. Twitter and Instagram at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. And because it's Saturday, it's the Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo on Twitter, on Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We select a winner every Saturday. Nice photo of the dog, the dog's name. If there's a little story, little bio info you want to include, that's great. Your name, dog's name. Doesn't have to be wearing hockey gear, but it's a nice little touch. We love working dogs. We love service dogs. Even those that are retired early, as we told you in our last hour, the story of Lulu, who was in training, but wasn't really feeling that being a bomb-sniffing dog was the career for her. So she decided, yeah, I think that's it. She was adopted by her trainer, which is a wonderful end to the story. We've seen great things this week in the National Hockey League. Lots of great plays, lots of excitement. It's been fun. It's been really enjoyable to watch. Some beautiful goals and saves. Some fantastic play in the East, in the West. If you're watching the games, it's a good time. It's a good time in the NHL to see some of these great games, to see some of these great plays. It's been wonderful. The thing I also noticed this past week, in addition to these great plays and fantastic moves by players, we're seeing a bit of whining and a bit of griping coming back in. Oh, no, not by the players, but by some commentators, announcers, analysts. Let me tell you what I mean. We saw fantastic plays this week. Let's go back a couple of days to Wednesday. The play that was talked about Thursday evening into Friday was the move that Connor McDavid made in Chicago to spin around, the pass of the puck over to Patrick Maroon, who had no choice but to put it into the net. But it was a brilliant play by Connor McDavid, who was coming across the line and headed towards the net. Everyone was describing it as, oh, it's a no-look pass. That's not completely accurate. He did look. He looked before he made the move to spin around and made the pass and saw where his teammate was going to be. So he did look. Not quite as spectacular, but equally fantastic was on Friday night. Ryan O'Reilly of the Buffalo Sabres moves into the corner and also does a spin move, spinorama if you prefer, does a spin move and whips the puck out in front of the net to Justin Bailey, who tucks it in and scores the opening goal against the Vancouver Canucks. Beautiful move. Same thing. It wasn't a no-look pass. If you watch the play, Ryan O'Reilly takes a peek, has a look before he makes the pass, then does the move right onto the stick. Beautiful play. Also in the game last night between the Buffalo Sabres and the Vancouver Canucks, Jack Eichel. This is why he got the big contract. This is why he was the high draft choice. He made a move on Ben Hutton, the defenseman. It's not the flashiest move. It's not the most sensational move, but it is no less spectacular because of how he succeeded. Little shift in weight from left to right, little shimmy, doesn't have arms flying. He is completely under control, but makes a beautiful move around defenseman Ben Hutton that scores a goal. Also, after he makes the move, puts the puck between the defenseman's legs, has a peek, as good players will do, looking for a spot to shoot, bang, it's in the net. Oh, it was beautiful. It was really nice. We have seen dozens of these kinds of remarkable plays. This is just a couple in the last couple of days. But there have been all kinds of great plays. Beautiful, skillful, exciting, fun. But the thing to note about these wonderful and remarkable plays that we are seeing more and more of on a nightly basis in the National Hockey League, they wouldn't be as prevalent, there wouldn't be as many of them if it were not for the crackdown on slashing that has taken place. This is what's opening up different lanes for players. This is what is allowing them to show their skill. In the past, we would have seen players behaving like lumberjacks, hacking and whacking and trying to do anything they could to stop their opponent. Swing the stick, chop it, break it, do whatever you can, get a stick on his hands. This is the payoff that we're now starting to see. More great plays, more talented plays, more skill on display. Players using their speed and not being afraid that they're going to get hacked on the ankles or hacked on the stick with whatever move that they make. This is the benefit. This is why the crackdown is occurring. Yes, you're right. You're not going to have as many injuries either. Players are not going to get hacked on the hands as much. You're not going to have as many broken fingers or sore hands. But in spite of this improved level of play, I'm still hearing this week, I heard a bunch of it again, there is whining about penalties being called for this. Players not having to pay the price to get to the net. This is the kind of nonsense. Just shut up. Just stop. This is still a work in progress. We've by no means accomplished the goal that we've set out to reduce injuries and allow players to show their skill and their talent. This is still a work in progress, but it is a much better environment for players now. Players that have talent that they have both learned and talent that they have been born with are getting a greater opportunity to use it now. There's not as much hanging on and restraining fouls. That was the push a few years ago. And now every player that tries to make a move toward the net is not going to get the lumberjack treatment as they try to make those moves. Players with talent, with skill, are being allowed to perform under optimum conditions. We still got a way to go. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting better. But there are still those whining about, oh, he doesn't have to pay the price. Ask any NHL player. Is the game physical? Is it taxing? Is there a price to be paid, to use that worn out cliche? Yes, there is. But we're trying to elevate the level of skill that players can use and display to score goals and create offensive chances and create excitement and entertain fans. I don't want to see more slashing. When you ask a group of people, what'd you come to see the team play for? Do you want to see slashing, and do you want to see broken sticks, and do you want to see broken limbs? No. I want to see my favorite player score. I want to see my team win. I want to see my team score. I want to see them outperform the opposition. Who comes to see slashing? Oh, look, another broken stick on the ice. I don't want to see scoring chances deleted by a player of inferior ability chopping someone down. I want to see the scoring chance play out. They're not all going to be successful. Some will be, some won't be, but we're going to have more scoring opportunities. We're going to see more excitement. If you allow and tolerate the lowest level of defensive measures to play too big a role, the kind of role that they have played in the game, you lower the overall skill level. We're having more and more talented players come into the league all the time. Let them use their talent. Let them use their skill. Let them put it on display. Let them entertain their fans, creating scoring chances. Create an environment for them and for everyone else to succeed. This crackdown that is still being belittled, usually by fourth line or marginal players that are now for some reason employed as analysts, griping about paying the price. There's a high enough price to pay. There is physical contact. There is checking. We want to take out the hack and whack and the lowest form of, uh-oh, I'm in a bad position. I'm going to slash my opponent and hope I don't get a penalty. There was too much of that before. We're trying to raise and allow everyone to use their skill. If you're in a defending position, instead of the default being, oh, I'll turn and swing my stick, it's now got to be, okay, what skill and talent can I use to better defend, to get myself in a better position? How am I now going to defend against this player? It's not about dragging the opponent down to a lower level. It's about elevating everyone to a higher skill level, allowing them to show and use all of their talents. Oh, they're not paying a price. Yeah, there's plenty of price being paid. We just want to take out this hack and whack. And you're right, it's gonna take a little while, and it's better in some games than others. I find in some games where it gets a little out of hand, sometimes, well, team's down by 3 goals, and that was probably a slash we should have called, but maybe I'll just look the other way on this one. I think we got to be more determined than ever. You don't want it creeping back in because it's making for such beautiful, graceful, wonderful hockey. That's not to say that it isn't physical at times, because it is. I've seen plenty of hits. I've seen plenty of good hits, open ice and up against the boards. I've also seen some bad ones. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up too, because there was a couple of bad ones the other night, and only one of them was worthy of a suspension, apparently. The one by Eric Gabranson against Frank Vetrano. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I do think that Gabranson should have been suspended. I don't think 1 game was enough. I think he should have got more. But I think there should have been another player suspended on the same night. More on that coming up. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles for your Dog of the Day submissions. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send them to us. We pick a winner before the hour's out. Also coming up, Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette talking Penguins, and Arthur Staple in the next segment talking New York Islanders. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. We know you hate to miss an episode of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, so you don't have to. All of our shows are available as podcasts just after the live broadcast finishes. Yeah, we have dozens of little elves that work really hard and get all the audio put together and then distributed out into the universe. Not exactly, but it's available through our website, and you can subscribe through iTunes, iHeartRadio, Blog Talk Radio, and all kinds of other places. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, always available on demand. Check it out on our website. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com. It's powered by Primetime Radio. If you miss an episode, podcast, subscribe through iTunes and iHeartRadio. Before the top of the hour, Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette will join us. We'll talk about the Pens, their game last night against the Panthers, their game Saturday night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, one of 12 on the schedule. Also on the schedule for Saturday, the New York Islanders hosting the San Jose Sharks. Sharks were winners last night against the Devils. The Isles were winners in their last contest against the New York Rangers. Arthur Staple covers the Islanders for Newsday. You can follow him on Twitter at Stape Newsday, and he joins us on the line now. Arthur, talk about the season so far for the Islanders. They seem like a lot of teams to be a bit of a work in progress. Some starts, some stops, some good, some bad, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you're right, Todd. I would say it's been okay, which in the NHL these days is not really good enough, and certainly for a team with that had a lot of question marks coming into the season, not just about the product on the ice, but where they're going to put that product in the future and what's going to happen with their star player. So yeah, I think it's been a couple steps forward and a couple steps back. They've had some good performances that didn't result in points. They've had some kind of fraught performances like the last 25 minutes or so of the game against the Rangers, and still come away with 2 points. So all in all, I guess they deserve to be where they are, which is very much in the middle of the pack.
And I guess that's why head coach Doug Weight is apparently shuffling the lineup a little bit. I understand that Josh Ho-Sang is not going to play tonight for the New York Islanders, which is, for me, is too bad because I'm a fan and I just would like to see him play more.
Yeah, he was scratched opening night, which was a bit of a surprise, and certainly the rest of the guys that did play weren't prepared to play and got blitzed off the ice by Columbus. Came back in, and he's tied for the team lead in assists. He's had some good setups. There's no denying his creativity and his desire to make an impact at the offensive end of the ice. And I think just the way that he played, and maybe the way that he's such a different person than the typical young, hungry NHL player, a guy who the typical guy who's willing to do anything to conform, to change his game, to fulfill all the cliches that every NHL coach has wanted from a talented young guy coming up from the junior level of playing well without the puck, 200-foot game, all that stuff. Josh, he just loves to play and he loves to create. He had a chance in that Ranger game in the second period where he came in pretty much with just room to shoot on Henrik Lundqvist and about 20 feet between him and the goalie, and he looked back to pass, and that was probably maybe not the last straw for Doug Weight, but it was one of them. And I think I think he's a guy he's played 5 games. He's only got 7 shots on goal, which is obviously something that needs to change. So he's sitting out tonight. Anthony Beauvillier goes back in, and we'll see where they go from there.
Is it just almost, I wonder if it's a question of Josh Ho-Sang is thinking too much as opposed to just playing and letting his instinct take over a little bit, trying to think and making some incorrect decisions. I did like how he handled the opening night scratch as well. He said, if the coach believes that this is the right thing, then so be it. I believe in him and we all believe in him. So I like that part of it, but it seems as though it's a young player who's still trying to find his way a bit.
Yeah, and I think there's certainly no vestiges of a couple of years ago when he overslept on the first day and would have been a long shot to make that roster anyway, but then got sent home and ran the stairs of the old Coliseum as punishment. I think that stuff is long in the past, and really Doug Weight, Garth Snow, everybody with the Islanders loves the attitude and loves the exuberance that he brings. I just think that it is a process. It's the worst answer for a lot of fans who see the creativity and the numbers and the underlying numbers where he's keeping possession and he's generating offense. But there is an element of needing to be part of the team and fit in at times that has kind of confounded him for a lot of his hockey career, going all the way back to junior and feeling snubbed by Hockey Canada for so many years. You don't legitimize it really by a stereotype of him being too individualistic, but this is a professional team and they've got talented guys. Look and see the way that Matthew Barzal has fit in and played, not surprisingly well, but quite well, and finally got rewarded with his first NHL goal against the Rangers the other night. And he's a guy who's not really in this in the lineup one night, out of the lineup another night situation. He's pretty much cemented himself inside of this top 12 forward group. So it's not a write-off situation by any means. Josh Ho-Sang is still a productive member of the Islanders. He's sitting out tonight, and we'll see what happens after that.
Arthur Staple is our guest, covers the New York Islanders for Newsday. At Stape Newsday is how you follow him on Twitter. The Isles will host the San Jose Sharks this evening. It's a bit of a process, I guess. You're right. That's a frustrating answer for fans and for everyone. But I suspect it's also true with Jordan Eberle, who was brought in the offseason, who's made some nice plays, has picked up a few assists, hasn't scored a goal yet. But it was kind of, okay, Jordan Eberle's here, and now we're going to see some nice steps forward by he and John Tavares and some of the other Islanders.
Yeah, there's been some good moments, but that, you have to get the results, and no goals through the first 7 is certainly not what the Islanders expected. And I think, part of that has to do with seeing John Tavares, who's only gotten points in one of their 7 games. When he is not going the right way, or he's not producing, it definitely has an impact, obviously, on his line mates like Eberle and everyone else around him, and certainly the power play where Eberle is a fixture on the top unit with Tavares. So, they finally broke through on that, and Eberle had the secondary assist. And, Doug Waite joked this morning about Tavares that he's seen a lot of third assists from his captain so far, where he's not on the score sheet, but he is still creating. And, I don't think they're quite at the point where they need to break those guys up. They're obviously still generating offense and generating chances. And Anders Lee has 3 goals on the left side. So there are things going in for at least one of the guys on that line. But yeah, you obviously have to put the puck in the net, and that's part of the reason they brought Jordan Eberle in, and I think he knows it, and he's not getting frustrated. I think he can sense that something's going to come if they keep playing the way that they're playing. He doesn't seem to get as uptight as you see the captain at times, John Tavares, who gets very hard down, not necessarily down on himself, but very anxious, I believe is the way that Doug Waite put it, about wanting to produce and be the kind of player that he's been in the past. So I think those two guys are kind of tied together at this point. I don't know how much longer they'll be, permanent, even strength line mates, but they're certainly going to be together on that power play. And obviously the power play needs to start getting going a little bit better for both of those guys to get more on the score sheet.
I would agree that anxious is probably a good word for John Tavares in the description. He seems as though he is very hard on himself, in the sense that he has really high standards, that he expects a certain level of not just effort, but performance and results. And there's so much attention and focus on him this year because, of course, the circumstances we're all aware of, that he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Is he going to re-sign with the Islanders? Where are the Islanders going to be playing years from now? And it's all tied together in one big ball. And I guess it's understandable that as much as you put that out of your mind and try not to worry about it, it is going to have an effect on you.
Yeah, and if you go through a slide like he's going through with no points in 5 games, obviously he did have the shootout winner against the Rangers. It was a pretty nifty move. But yeah, you start to invite the questions and the rumors, and certainly, I tweeted out when we were out in California last week that Mark Bergevin was on the scene for, I believe, the 2nd or 3rd time early in the season, checking out the Islanders, and certainly, nobody needs to scout John Tavares, so that was a ludicrous jump by a lot of people that, maybe the Islanders are shopping him now. I think it's just when he's not scoring, and it may seem like from the outside that the weight of this decision is affecting him or hanging heavily on him, then all the questions and the comments and the speculation just sort of ramps up. And I think that, that frustrates him a lot more than just not scoring. Because I think he felt like this could be very much under his control, even though it was his decision not to entertain an extension. He wanted to see where the arena situation was going to go. He wanted to see where the team was going to go. And if he's not leading the way on the ice in terms of production, they're obviously not going to win as much. And then the questions kind of come, and it becomes a bit of a vicious circle. So, you can sense the frustration with him. He keeps it at bay pretty well, but obviously on the ice, it's hard to keep it away when he's not producing the way that he's used to. And, I think even if he gets back on the horse and turns around and puts in 5 goals in the next 2 games, we're kind of into the stage now where the Islanders haven't shown that they're an elite team in the East just yet, if they even can be this season. So, yeah, those questions and comments and whispers are certainly going to continue, even if there's not much behind them.
So, and just to wrap it up, Arthur, I want to ask, I'm not going to hold you to it, but I'm kind of interested in your perspective, because you're with the team so frequently and so often. How do you see this whole circumstance playing out there. The Islanders are all in on the one arena possibility. They're waiting for, hopefully, approval. There's no guarantee as to when that approval will be granted by legislators. How long does John Tavares wait before he decides to sign a deal? How long do the Islanders wait before they have any sort of discussion? I don't think they can even suggest, look, we'll make a trade if you want to. I think that they have to be all in and say, if you want to sign, we'll sign you. How do you see the circumstances playing out?
I think he's an Islander until the minute he says, I want to move on, and I don't see that happening. The behind the scenes feelings of all the people in the organization at the higher that the Belmont situation will go in their favor. It may not be on the strictest of timelines, but they feel good about the proposal that they submitted. They feel good that New York State and the Empire State Development Corporation will look favorably upon their bid compared to the other two bids that were submitted. And they feel like there's a realistic timeline to get this thing going in the next, to be able to maybe be open the 2021 season in Belmont. So the more definitive they can feel about it, I assume the more definitive John Tavares will feel about it. And then it comes down to, whether he wants to stay. And I certainly heard all along from his camp, from the Islanders, that his desire in terms of being on Long Island and then with the Islanders has not wavered a whole lot. He just wanted some certainty for, the credibility of this franchise going forward, not being a tenant, not being in a temporary location, and not being in a situation that's not terribly favorable to bring in people from the outside. So, sitting here right now, I certainly haven't heard anything different other than this is a situation he wants to see resolved in the Islanders' favor. If he wanted out, he would have told them last summer, and we probably would see him in a different uniform right now. So they're committed to him. He's committed to them, at least for the short term, and hopefully, and in their minds, hopefully for the long term. And I would think that once the arena situation becomes a bit clearer, that no matter what time of year it is, he might just say, let's get it done. And I don't think there'd be much negotiating going on. It's really a blank check for him, and whether it's 11.5 or 12 or 12.5 per year for 8 years, I think they're committed to giving him whatever he wants. So, I think the signs are still pointing more in their favor than not, but we'll have to see how that goes over the coming weeks and months.
Arthur Staple from Newsday, covering the Islanders at Stape Newsday is how you follow him on Twitter. Thanks so much for the info, Arthur. Always appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Todd. Anytime.
Thank you, Arthur Staple from Newsday, covering the New York Islanders. That was a great synopsis. Summed it up really nicely. Here's how all the pieces of the puzzle are put together. That's what I was hoping for from Arthur. That's exactly what he delivered. They're confident. It doesn't matter if the Islanders get approved today, tomorrow, next week, a month from now, 5 months from now. And if their lease at Barclays expires, they'll find a place to play. It's a matter of having that stability moving forward. John Tavares has said he wants to stay there. And as long as that looks like it's going to happen, there's going to be stability with the franchise and the building, then he's going to stay there. So let's try and keep some of the noise that's going to get churned up and some of the poo that's going to get thrown against the wall away for a while. This is not a critical situation. Both sides are saying they're committed. They just need to see how this plays out. So let's hope that it happens quickly. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Lots to get to, including Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette in our next segment, talking Penguins. 12 games on the Saturday schedule. Bunch of other stories to talk about as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. We'll take you right up to the top of the hour. Lots of stories to get into, lots of good games on the Saturday schedule, including the Pittsburgh Penguins completing the swing through Florida with a game in Tampa against the Lightning. Jason Mackey covers the Pens for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. You can follow him on Twitter at JMackeyPG, and he joins us on the line now. Jason, this is a pretty good schedule. Anybody that gets to go to Florida twice in October, that's a pretty good thing, isn't it?
At least as beat reporters, we can't complain about that one. I know that much. But, as far as the Penguins on ice schedule, I don't think it's a good one. They've not gotten the schedule maker's blessing in this one. A lot of 3 and 4 nights, a lot of back-to-backs, and difficult teams too. They're going to be playing Tampa for the second time. They played in Chicago the second night of a back-to-back. We've seen them play Nashville. I think the schedule stuff can tend to get overblown, but right now the Penguins are in a pretty difficult stretch.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough for them right at the start of the season. They had 3 games in 4 nights, and as you mentioned, there's a couple of trips back and forth to Florida in a short period of time does have an impact. Now, the other thing though, the Pittsburgh game against Tampa a week and a half ago, I think that was the best game of the season so far. Just from an audience standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, it was a joy to watch, and I'm only hoping that we see as good a game tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with you there. I mean, I haven't watched every game. I don't have to pay attention to the whole league the way you do, but I know I was highly entertained watching this. I think the world of this Tampa team. I think they've made a lot of nice improvements. If I had to handicap it right now, these are the 2 teams coming out of the East that I would think would play in the Eastern Conference Final. I do think the Penguins will kind of get their stuff together, but these styles, when they clash, to the point that you're talking about, can just make for some really entertaining hockey. It's what it should be. Nothing against poor Ottawa, but I don't want to see anybody trapping it up, trying to slow it down, and not skating, not creating. I would much rather see what Mike Sullivan wants to do out of the Penguins, and right now I think the Penguins are doing that a little bit too much, probably to Sullivan's dismay. I'd like them to buckle down a little bit, play a little bit more defense, a little bit more responsible with the puck. But as far as you and I are concerned, let's go. It's good stuff.
Yeah, back and forth, up and down. I'm perfectly okay with that. The Penguins last night, in watching them Friday against the Florida Panthers, 3 power play goals. Connor Sheary has the game-winning goal, but it was the power play in the second period where Sidney Crosby wound up scoring their second of 3 power play goals. That was something to watch, just to have those 5 guys on the ice, the talent level, just to see them, how they handled themselves. And Florida was doing a decent job of defending. They weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't making any serious mistakes, but just to see the skill level elevated and to see them succeed and score that goal was quite something to watch.
Yeah, when these guys are going, I mean, it's borderline unfair. You have that much talent on the ice in a top unit. They should be the best power play in the league, and they should do that by 3 or 4 percentage points, in my opinion. It's just a lot of times these guys get too caught up in making pretty plays. They don't have enough of a shoot-first mentality. They end up becoming their own worst enemies. But it wasn't the case on that one. They had a great shoot-first mentality. One of the reasons for that has been Patrick Hornquist. We can make all we want about quarterbacking the top unit with Tanger Schultz. But you know what? They get Hornquist back. That unit is just different. He's so crazy in front of the net. During that power play that you're talking about, I literally thought I saw Patrick Hornquist head a puck, and I like a soccer header at the goal. I think he tried to do it, and I wouldn't put it past him. His relentless energy, it's kind of an approach that is contagious for the Penguins. I don't know if Crosby and Malkin kind of look at that and want to emulate it, but they seem to play different when he's on the ice. They're getting Malkin open from that right circle, a lot of one-timers. Kessel has been able to showcase his passing ability from his spot there. They're having Crosby down the net, or down near the net, more than they have been. When they're going like that, they should be the best in the league by far.
Jason Mackey is with us, covers the Pittsburgh Penguins for the Post-Gazette. You can follow him on Twitter at JMackeyPG. Penguins taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday night. Second time they've met in a week and a half, and hopefully we have as good a game. Jason, will we see Antti Niemi get the start in goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins Saturday?
I would think so. Last night in Florida, we were all a little bit surprised. I think a lot of people expected Mike Sullivan to go with Antti Niemi in Florida. He's played twice so far. Both times they've been the second leg of back-to-backs. He's been pretty bad, but the team in front of him has been worse. So I think you get to a point with Niemi where you really want to see what the guy has, but Sullivan didn't go that route. He's going to take – I think he's going to play Niemi tonight, and here's why. They've talked all offseason, and I mean they, as in Jim Rutherford and Mike Sullivan, about not wanting to have Matt Murray expend too much energy in the regular season. Given his injury history, he hasn't been, healthy for any length of time. I don't know why you play him back to back, and I don't know why you lump his regular season starts too high. You brought in Antti Niemi for a reason. He's going to have to deal with this stuff. And Mike Sullivan did talk last night about wanting to win the game right in front of him, and that was last night. So, I get that line of thinking, and I guess they're just looking at this saying Antti Niemi's going to have to figure it out in the second half of back-to-back. And if he doesn't, they're comfortable going to Tristan Jarry, the kid they have in the AHL right now. So I think they will go with Niemi. And I think if he doesn't pull it together and give them more of a chance, probably over the next 1, 2, or 3 starts, they'll look to make that move. But I do think he'll go with Niemi tonight. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to go with Murray back-to-back. It's just too much of a workload on a young goalie who's been a little bit injury-prone.
And even with at this point of the season, with only 8 games played, you're still in the mode where you're trying to assess, and you've got to give him a fair chance. But if you decide after 3 or 4 starts, you know what, this really isn't happening. It's not like he's signed to a big long-term deal. You can make a change without it having a dramatic impact.
Like they don't have another option either. Right now, as they sit and wait for a third-line center, which it seems like this has been the longest wait for a third-line center in history. But, they have the Jarry kid in the AHL. He's ready. He's ready. It's just they feel like right now they would rather him play all the time than come up here and sit behind Murray. But if Niemi's not giving them a chance to win NHL games, then they have to do something else. So I think at that point you look at it and say, okay, we're going to bring Jarry up. We're going to play him a little bit more regularly as long as he's competent. But you just can't have Antti Niemi going out there and not giving them a chance. And there have been extenuating circumstances. Sure, the team hasn't been good in front of them. There's been travel, tough opponents, any excuse you want to make. But I look at Niemi's 2 starts this season, and he just flat out has to be better if he's going to be on this team the entire season.
A couple of players who have had good seasons, maybe somewhat surprising seasons. One of them is Olli Mata, who I'm really pleased to see he's playing as well as he is, but also piling up a few points as a defenseman with the 2 goals and 6 assists. I wasn't sure what to expect this year because of his history and having injuries and having so many battles that he's had to go through, but he's off to a really nice start with the team.
He really is. His confidence is sky high right now, and that's a good thing for him. He's one of those players that, even if there are some guys, that if their confidence is a little bit low, they're okay. They can kind of buckle through, and it's not a big deal. But Mata, he very much goes as his play kind of goes with him. So anyway, he's been really good. He had a big off-season, really important off-season for him, focused on his skating a ton, and he looks different. He honestly does. And with Mata, that's been the biggest issue, has been his skating, going back to pucks, and it looks 180 degrees different. I don't know what the change was specifically he did differently, but it looks very to make a lot of passes. He seems to be on the ice when they're creating a lot. Last night, he makes that pass to Connor Sheary. Sheary did most of the heavy lifting, but at the same time, Mata did put him in a position to take a puck with speed, and with the Penguin system, I mean, that's pretty much all you can ask for at any point in the ice. So Mata's going really, really well. It was a summer where, a lot of people seem to want to trade him, send him on the first bus out of town, but here we are. 8 games into the season, Olli Mata, outside of Crystal Tang, I'd say he's been their best defenseman.
Yeah, that seems like a bit of a short-sighted thing. There's still so much upside. He has talent, he has skill. I think that would be cutting him off too soon to make that kind of choice with Olli Mata. The other thing, you mentioned Connor Sheary, who had another goal last night, the game-winning goal on the power play. He's been great. Jake Gensel has been good as well.
Yeah, their young wingers have brought it this season, and we're not even talking about Brian Rust going into last night, hasn't been even straight points. You can believe that on a team with Kessel, Crosby, and Malkin. I feel like Rust has taken another step forward. So they're getting a lot out of their forwards. They're really getting a lot offensively out of a lot of people. That's not the issue. The issue has been how much they're allowing. And they've gotten into some track meet type games at some point. Some of them just been beginning to end that way. I think it was the first Florida game where Matt Murray had to stop 43 shots just to get him out of there with a 4-3 win. So that's what I said at the top of this thing, that Mike Sullivan just wants them to buckle down a little bit, manage the puck better, make them play end zone to end zone. He loves saying that. But it's basically just be more responsible, be a tougher team to play against. Don't give so many freebies. But offensively, as far as what Sheary's doing, you're seeing him and Gensel a lot with Crosby, although last night Sullivan tweaked it and put them with Greg McKegg to kind of get a spark, and it wasn't bad. But credit to those guys. They've really given they're all kind of in different stages, but they're all advancing in their young careers, and they've all brought it this season.
Jason Mackey, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, covering the Penguins, who take on the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday. Follow him on Twitter at JMackeyPG. Jason, thanks for this. Great stuff. Hopefully we'll do it again soon, and I'm in favor of more track meets, despite what Mike Sullivan says.
I think we all are, but I understand why Sullivan doesn't like it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jason. Great stuff. Jason Mackey, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. They're just a fun team to watch. They're a skilled team. Taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning a week and a half ago was good. They're a fun team to watch when it's played at an elevated level. Doesn't mean that there's no hitting. Doesn't mean that there's no body checking. That's okay. There was plenty of it in the game they had against the Tampa Bay Lightning earlier in the season. Let's hope for more of the same kind of game. And we also got a 5-4 result. It was terrific. It was wonderful. We'll hopefully see that in the game between Pittsburgh and Tampa Saturday, maybe a few others. I'm good with that. We'll look ahead to what's on the schedule, a few other things. Story from the last couple of days that we haven't gotten into yet. We'll do that before the top of the hour as well. First suspension of the season, Erica Branson, 1 game. Should have been more, and there probably should have been another suspension too. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Back with our final segment and our Dog of the Day winner after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, also live on Facebook, also live on Periscope, also on YouTube Live, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Good show today. Busy, lots of good stuff tomorrow as well. I mentioned it a bit earlier. We'll kind of do who's meeting, who's exceeding, who's not making it in terms of expectations so far. Yeah, sure, it's still early, but everybody's evaluating right now. Also tomorrow on the program, George Richards. Ah, yes, now covering the Columbus Blue Jackets. He'll join us. Chris Peters from ESPN. John Rosen talking LA Kings, and of course, the Fantasy 5 tomorrow, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool, hashtag Fantasy 5. Wanted to talk about the first suspension of the season. It occurred because of a hit in the Canucks-Bruins game. Eric Gabranson launched Frank Vetrano into the end boards. A dirty and completely unnecessary hit, but one we've seen countless times, and then the sequence plays out as it often does. Gabranson hits Vetrano, face first, launches him into the boards. Tim Schaller comes in to defend the honor of his teammate, and he immediately engages Gabranson. The two fight. All the while, Vetrano's on the ice, and everybody jumps up on the benches and taps the boards after the fight. Now, all the traditional media sites see this. Oh, this is an opportunity to engage our audience and quite frankly, get clicks on their website and social media feed. So up go the polls. Is this a suspendable offense? Well, of course it is. It's a dirty hit from behind. One game. I think it should have been more. I don't care about history. I don't care if you're a previous offender. This is a dirty hit. There is no need for this to happen. There was plenty of time to avoid it. It was a conscious choice. Yes, that was the intent, if you will, to launch Vetrano face first into the boards. Dirty hit. Now, another item in this whole thing, Tim Schaller comes in and, okay, I'm going to drop my gloves and jump the guy who hit my teammate. The good team guy defending his honor. He was not properly penalized, I don't believe, on this play. He should have received an instigator penalty. Now, I know just the mention of the instigator penalty is enough to set people off. It's not going away. And when it's applied properly, it's beneficial. There is no disputing what his intent was. He came in and grabbed Eric Gudbranson and initiated a fight. Should have had 2, 5, and 10. Didn't get it. That's wrong. I know that you want to stick up for your teammates and all the rest of it. Doesn't matter. He still should have had 2, 5, and 10. Didn't get it. You've got to do that. Apply the law equally. I think that was a mistake. I know the optics wouldn't have looked great to some fans. However, if you explain the rule clearly and illustrate it, it's the correct call. As I mentioned, Gudbranson got a hearing. It was quick. It was efficient. He got 1 game, and it should have been more. I don't care about the history. I really don't. This is premeditated. It's dirty. We don't need it in the game. It should start at 3 games for that kind of hit and go up from there. There was another hit, same night, went mostly unnoticed. This one was in the Edmonton-Chicago game. Zach Kassian hit Ryan Hartman from behind. Kassian was charging toward the boards. Hartman was against the boards, back mostly to Zach Kassian of the Edmonton Oilers. He's got the puck. He's playing the puck. He's a little sideways. He kind of shifts his position a little bit, but clearly visible are the numbers on the back of his jersey. And Kassian continues in a speedy and expedited fashion towards Ryan Hartman and plows him face first into the boards. And then, of course, again, the next cliche reaction, Zach Kassian stands there and puts his arms out, palms up, and say, there was nothing I could do. BS. You were tracking him from the middle of the ice. Yes, the player did move, but he didn't make a sudden last-minute move to put himself in a vulnerable position. That was a dirty hit. Kassian only got 2 minutes on the play, and I suspect that is because Ryan Hartman jumped up quickly. The scrum ensued. There was no big fight at that particular moment, but that's wrong. That should have been at least a major penalty, probably more. You want to stop the hits from behind, penalize them severely. Who's going to complain about that? We don't want to, really enforce the justice too hard. Yeah, you do. In cases like this, hit from behind. If Eric Gudbranson had received 3 games for that, if that was the starting point, would anyone complain? Besides Eric Gudbranson's immediate family and maybe the odd person in the Canucks organization. But I suspect that they would also realize, you know what? We really can't be doing that, and our players can't be making bad choices and bad decisions that way. That should be the starting point. 3 games. And Zach Kassian should have been hammered as well. Watch from the high angle. I did. And I watched several other angles. He's barreling toward Ryan Hartman of the Chicago Blackhawks. He's tracking him. It's like the fighter pilot who's got the enemy in his sights. He was going to hit him. And he did. And he put him face first into the boards. And he should have been more severely penalized for it. Hartman, though, got up quickly. Fortunately, it could have been much more severe. You can't do that. Do you want to stop this problem? Penalize it properly. If you're delivering the hits, if you're the guy from behind, you got to be held accountable. This is no different than if you're driving in your car. I know this is a bit of a strange analogy, but it makes perfect sense. If you are driving out on the road and the person in front of you stops and you run into them, you are the one held responsible every single time because the onus is on you to avoid the collision. In this case, the collision is avoidable by the person inflicting the hit. But he put himself in a vulnerable position. No, he wasn't in a vulnerable position until he was attacked. In both cases, in the case of Gudbranson versus Vetrano and the case of Zach Kassian and Ryan Hartman, they were standing there. They were making a play. It was the player that inflicted the hit that made the conscious choice and the conscious decision to launch them heavily into the boards. They are the ones that are responsible. And that's what it says in the rule book. They are the ones that are to be held responsible, that even if there is a last-minute sudden movement. They are to try to minimize or avoid the hit. Neither was done in either case. No different than driving. If you're following behind someone, it's your responsibility to avoid hitting them. This is the same thing. And that's the way justice should be looked at in this case. Both of those players should have been suspended. And I'd be okay for hits from behind, suspensions starting at 3. Might even go higher, but starting at 3 for sure. That was a bad hit by Kassian. The fortunate part is that Ryan Hartman got up quickly and nothing more came of it. It could have been much more serious. 12 games on the Saturday schedule, including a little afternoon action. And then it really gets rolling tonight with 10 more games. We'll be back tomorrow to talk all about it. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Thanks to Jason Mackey. Thanks to Arthur Staple. Thanks to Craig Button for joining us today. Enjoy a great day of hockey. Our dog of the day is Rambo, submitted by Joanne Lemley, with the Twitter handle at chatswithjoanne. Congratulations, Rambo, and to Joanne. Have a great day of hockey. Back with you again tomorrow at 11.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you miss the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design, Industrial Design, Mechanical Engineering and Design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.